Do you now have a rotation?
Oh, no. No, we'll talk about that today.
And just what's the plan for today? What's going on with you guys today?
So we're having a normal workout. A couple lives, Nestor's going live, but yeah, just kind of a normal workout today.
Up front on your left, Brian.
Aaron, you guys got to see the Dodgers here in June. What did you take away from those 3 games?
Yeah, I talk every now and then about fun series in the course of the regular season, whether it's a division rival, it's a big series that you kind of have that juice and they're good games, going to London, the Field of Dreams stuff. We've been to L.A. a couple times since I've been here in the regular seasons. Those always were really cool series, and the same rang true here in the Bronx. Obviously they beat us 2 out of 3. Felt like 3 really competitive games. I think Juan was out in all of them, wasn't he? But obviously know you're up against a great opponent, and but just looking back at that series, like it was just cool regular season, summertime in the Bronx, Dodgers coming in, haven't been here in a long time, and cool weekend.
4th row on your far right, Peter.
Hi, Aaron. Back here. What's it been like for you the last 5 years, being able to give the ball to Garrett Cole to start postseason series, and how can he set the tone for you in this one?
Yeah, I mean he's been everything we could have hoped when we brought him here. He's been one of this era's aces. Obviously he's had a great career on a Hall of Fame track. Beat us in 19 with Houston, and then to be able to bring him here. He obviously walked in here with a lot of expectations and a lot of weight on him to be the ace of our staff, and he's been every bit of that. But it's also not been without its moments, without like some, he's had those moments of truth and tough moments that he's been so good at answering throughout his time with us. And he's proven himself to be a big game pitcher. And we're obviously blessed to be able to give him the ball to get this thing started.
Standing on your far right, Joel.
Aaron, in that June series, do you allow your mind to wander at all and say, I wonder if we're going to see those guys again?
Maybe a little. I mean, I think ever since I've been here, there's always that Yankee Dodger thing, and certainly every year, they and us have had one of those teams that you can envision playing each other in October. So maybe on some level it's always there a little bit, but when you're in the season, you're so series to series and who you're playing and getting ready for that. But I think there's always that underlying thing with the Dodgers and the Yankees.
If I could follow you, is the fact that you think about it every year, but this is the first time that it's actually happened.
Yeah.
What do you think that reveals about the sport?
Yeah, it's not easy to get to this point, and what's it been, 43 years since 81 were these two teams, and you think of the success of these two franchises, that it's now been 43 years is remarkable, and showed you that, I know well and good how hard it is to get to this point. So we're excited about it. We'll be ready for it, and just looking forward to hopefully a great series.
The 4th row in the right center aisle.
Hey, Aaron, kind of on that, it seems like you guys have been circling each other for almost the entire 5 years. Is there any added, not that you need any more juice for the World Series, but is there added juice that finally, everyone kind of agrees the best 2 teams in baseball are going head-to-head?
I'm sure there'll be that, in the world, like I'm sure the amount of people watching and paying attention, probably you're going to draw on even more people that will watch this World Series than would otherwise watch the World Series. So you're talking about a greater pool of people that will be interested in this. So we understand that, but for us, it's like we feel like we're going on a business trip tomorrow. It's whether we're playing the Dodgers or whoever we are, to be able to get to the World Series and have a chance to play for a world championship. That's what you That's what you work so hard to have that opportunity. So I don't think it really changes much for us. Obviously, you understand there'll be more eyeballs on it, but honestly, it doesn't really change much for us.
If we could pass the microphone to Disha. Thank you.
Aaron, is Soto the most confident player at the plate that not only you've managed, but in baseball, especially in those high-pressure situations?
I don't know. I think we have a number of those kind of players that are pretty confident in what they can do. He's one of the greats that I've ever managed, but I'm managing a few of those guys. So one of the things that's certainly been enjoyable for me is getting to know Juan and kind of the person and who he is, and to see his at-bat quality all year. I go back to the first spring training game, like where there were a lot of eyes on that and it's like you became very aware very early that I've described him as that his at-bats are like wars, battles, like it's not too often that you see the crowd feed off of ball one, strike one with Juan, because he creates this theatrical battle of him and the pitcher, as much as anyone I've ever seen.
We'll go to Ron and then Bruce.
Every time that Juan comes through and has a big hit, does part of you think, oh, that's only going to raise the cost to try to keep him here?
Not really. I'm more just like, I love him up there in those spots because I know just how tough his at-bats are, and it seems like the bigger the at-bat, the bigger the moment, he does have a knack for seizing that moment. And we've seen it all year, and culminating with an at-bat for the ages in the championship series. So hopefully there's more of those in front of us here this coming week, and looking forward to going to battle with him.
Go to Bruce right next to you.
Judge, Ohtani, both likely MVPs, both home run champions in their leagues. What do you think of the matchup within the matchup?
Obviously, I've gotten to see Aaron now for 7 years. Got to know him well. Just the reverence I have for the person. Excited that he's going to get to go be on this stage. And of course, I know playing against Shohei, what an amazing talent he is. And obviously, going to the Dodgers this year and having the kind of season he's put out there, I think it's great for the sport, great for baseball, and, looking forward to the battle of it all.
Good, Nate in the second row on your left.
Aaron, you mentioned the other day that you've been in communication with Joe Torre a little bit. I'm wondering if there's any bit of advice or wisdom that you've gleaned from him, either in those recent conversations or even just from being around him over the years, that you'll take with you into the World Series.
Yeah, me coming over here at the trade deadline as a player in 2003, he was just such a stabilizing factor for me. Such a steady presence in that seat. So, just my admiration for him right away. And I knew him a little bit before that as a kid when he was a broadcaster with the Angels, when my dad was with the Angels. So I knew him a little bit then, but then getting to play for him and just to see how he handled, being the skipper of this team and just, help put me at ease a little bit. In what can be a whirlwind, a stressful environment when you're gone at the trade deadline and boom, into a new team and a new situation. So to see him handle all that was impressive, and hopefully something I've taken with me. He's been more in a Major League Baseball role for most of my time here, but this year, we got him to spring training. And it was so meaningful to so many of us, especially me, just to have him, I first asked him and he said, yeah, I'll be there and he came up, for several days with us. And the first, he wasn't going to be in uniform. I asked him if you want to get in uniform, it'd be great. And he's like, I'm not sure about that. And after the first day in Tampa, when he was there, I brought it to him again. I'm like, what do you think about getting in uni? He said, all right. So then he got in uni. Then I got him to make a pitching change. But him being there with us for a few days was so impactful, I think, for our players and our coaches and certainly me. But I think it meant a lot to him, too. Like, I think him being there, I think he was looking forward to it. But then when he got here, I think he really enjoyed it. And then he's popped in every now and then. He'll pop into Robbie's office, and he'll just be sitting there. And usually before a game, he'll just pop in with me, and we'll connect real quick and, put his hands on me a little bit and just say, go get him. Texted me right after we beat Cleveland, just his pride in me and what we're doing and everything. So it means a lot. It really does. I mean, obviously he's a giant in the sport and Hall of Famer and an amazing player in his day too, and just has a tremendous amount of respect in our sport, and that certainly rings true for me in the respect I have for him. So for him to be around a little bit and for us to be able to communicate a little really does mean a lot to me.
Third row on your far right, Jorge.
Aaron, before this postseason started and right around when it did start, there was some talk out of Los Angeles that Shohei could pitch eventually. Are you guys preparing for that possibility? Do you expect him to see him on the mound at some point in the series?
I haven't given much thought to that. So, no, but if that's the case, we'll be ready for everything. We know what everyone they have throws and what they feature and things like that. So we'll be prepared for anything.
A little beyond Jorge, we'll go to Greg.
You expect to go 14 and 12 again, or would you carry 13 pitchers? Just how much those guys worked in the CS?
Yeah, could be 13. We'll see.
And then we'll finish up with two in the front row, Stephanie and Andy.
You're the manager, but presumably you learned from your players. What have you learned from being around Giancarlo?
I've talked about this a little bit before, but Giancarlo, he carries such respect in that room. He's not a loud vocal leader typically, but when he does say things, myself included, but definitely the team, like, you listen, because when he opens his mouth, he says a lot of smart things and a lot of thoughtful things. He's not just speaking to speak ever. So one of the things that I've taken with me that I can, and I've talked to you guys a little bit about this before, but I can remember where it was. I can remember the impact it had on the room and on me, and it's something that I've made a part of my spring training speech to these guys, or when I talk to them at any point during the year. When we lost in 21 in the wild card game to the Red Sox, he got up and spoke in the room afterwards, and it was one of those where G speaks, you listen, and he talked about the noise, that exists when you in this game and when you're in the playoffs, and certainly when you're in New York and playing for the Yankees. There's a lot of noise out there that can become a distraction for you, and it's everything from great, you want to hear how great you are, you want to hear how terrible you are, and everything in between. It's all out there for you to absorb and at your fingertips if you want it. And really, and what he's so good at is understanding that great or bad, it's noise, and it can get in your way. And one of the things I've seen and appreciated about G since he came here in 18 is watching him evolve and deal with that stuff. And he is as good as I've ever seen at, like, you can't affect him. You want to scream and yell at him, you want to praise him, whatever, it's all noise to him. He knows where to take his mind and where to take his focus and how to do it, and he is disciplined to it. And I think it obviously serves him very well when we get into these situations where he's been such a good playoff performer. He's great at the noise is meaningless to him. It's about the guys in that room and what his job is when he walks between the lines.
We'll finish up with Andy.
You were talking before about Soto being a battle on every pitch. I was wondering if you were asked to think about like how many times this season he's looked bad on a swing or made a bad swing decision or chased, what you might think. Obviously it happens, but it seems like it happens so much less than with your average player.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's such a great hitter and so disciplined to his routine and what he does to prepare. And his ability to adjust and process within the at-bat is really impressive. And I think the at-bat against Cleveland, there were some funky swings in there where he's behind the count, just spoiling and just kind of like a great player, just processing the information that's coming his way each pitch and how to handle it and how to deal with it and how to apply it. And I mean, that's just a classic Juan Soto at bat where you can kind of feel and sense and see him learning from every pitch and eventually getting one that he could do a lot of damage with.
So it's not like he never makes a mistake, but he immediately adjusts.
Yeah.
All right, Aaron.